This is the Healthy Business Podcast, the show for ambitious business owners who want to grow and scale in a healthy way. I'm Sarah Cook, and I'll be sharing with you tips, inspiration, and proven methods from leading business experts, entrepreneurs, and health and wellness professionals to help you grow your business with more income and having more impact, but in a way that works for you. Because when you have clarity and strategy, you can achieve the results you want. Welcome to today's episode of the Healthy Business Podcast. I am delighted to have the lovely Rachel Brown, who is the founder of Chakra Kids. And I wanted to bring her on because I think it's really interesting when we're running our own business that we have generally gone into it because we want to be there for our families. And Rachel works with families and children. And just I want to talk about the kind of the emotions that we have and how that plays a part on our family's emotions, but also how we can help our children, help our families to be as healthy as possible from a mental health perspective as well. So Rachel, thank you so much for joining me.
You're welcome. So Chakra Kids is really all about empowering children to manage their emotions, build their confidence, their self-belief and their positivity. And I'm really coming at it from a holistic point of view. Children have so much to give. They are absolutely amazing, and it's really difficult in times like these where there is pressure everywhere for them. There's pressure from education, there's pressure from society, pressure from friends, so many things. And what's interesting is that all of our emotions can impact our physical health, and emotions are basically energy. And so when we have negative emotions, we have a negative energy field around us. And as you said, that can then affect everybody else in the family. And I'm sure it's vice versa with parents and with mums. And I'm sure all of those mums listening know that feeling that when you go down, everybody else goes down with you. And so the idea with Chakra Kids is to help them to express their emotions rather than suppress them, so that when they come against different problems or adversities in their life, they've got a toolbox of things that they can do to help them express those emotions before they get overwhelmed with them and end up with more problems than they started with.
So important, isn't it? And I think, anyone who's listening to this that's a parent of whatever age children you are, you always feel that pull, don't you? Especially if you're running your own business, you're juggling family life, you're juggling other things going on. There's always that pull. And, all of us, we're humans, we all have emotions that are going up and down. But if we can give our children a little toolbox to help them manage things and express things, not only does it become sort of less pressure on us as parents in some ways, but actually there's that sort of responsibility on the child as they grow up and really have a way to deal with things as they get older and they start taking on their lives, that resilient side of things, knowing how to, as you say, process emotion rather than suppress them. It's really important. Sorry, I was interrupting you then.
No, it's all right. What's interesting is that emotions only actually last for 90 seconds. And it's then up to us how we deal with that emotion. And the Latin word for emotion is emotere, which means energy in motion. And all of our energies are stored in our body in, energy centers known as chakras. So if we have a negative emotion, that's basically a negative energy. Depending on the emotion, depends on which chakra or energy center in our body it affects. And if we don't learn to express it, then the energy stops after 90 seconds and gets stuck in that chakra. And again, depending on the chakra, depends on whether we get more of the same emotion. It is also linked to a different behavior system. And eventually physical health issues as well. So in children, for example, if if their root chakra is blocked, which is the one right at the base of the spine, the first chakra, it's often blocked if they're feeling unsafe or insecure. And I think a lot of children have felt this over the last 12 months. And that can come out as tantrums. It's a way of children expressing how they feel when they don't have the words to express it. And so in Chakra Kids, what we do is help them understand through colour what they might be experiencing, and then use activities to help them to then express that feeling. And they're really simple activities that can be fitted into the daily routine. So one for the root chakra is literally taking your shoes and socks off and stamping on the ground, just as a matter of course, not just when they're having tantrums, because it helps to release that negative buildup of energy. So that's the sort of thing that we cover.
I think it's a really great idea, and it's so interesting, I think, isn't it, of how emotions do only last 90 seconds. That in relative terms, it's a really short period of time. But as you say, if we don't process them, it just collects over the day, over the week, over the month, and then it just gets stored. And that has to come out somehow, doesn't it? And whether that's through a tantrum, as you say, or whether that's through physical health issues, learning how to process that, especially as we get to adulthood and things, it's so important that we can do that. And you work with children quite young, don't you? So that actually they don't necessarily have the vocabulary to describe how they're feeling. But what you've created through Chakra Kids is some exercises and different ways that they can just release that energy which is built up.
Yeah. So I sort of start, the idea is that it's early intervention, because our chakras, the energy centers, form from the time we're in utero up until, well, they carry on forming throughout life, but they sort of have finished starting forming at about the age of 12. And it's traumas and stressful situations that occur during those times that can sort of set a precedent as to how we react later on in life. And so the idea with working with children is to give them that toolbox before the situation arises so that they know how to deal with it. And the idea with working with colour is, as you said, children can often struggle to verbalise how they feel. But we did an interesting experiment in my group, asking them what colour linked to a different feeling. And they were fairly easily able to say, for example, anger is red. And so in the heat of the moment, instead of asking them how you feel, which can often end up with them getting upset and then you getting upset because they can't tell you, if you ask them what colour they feel, that can give you an indication. And I've come up with this equation known as the behaviour equation, where if you've got the colour that they feel plus a behaviour and maybe a physical symptom, so for the root chakra it's maybe tantrums plus red plus constipation, that tells you it's the root chakra that might be blocked. And then knowing that, you can use the unique properties of the root chakra to do the activities linked to those, and that will help them to express. And so it just gives them that control almost, as you said, to learn how to deal with it themselves. And that in turn improves their energy, and then it improves the energy of the family.
It's fascinating. I love this stuff. And I think, being a parent myself to two little ones, and we're recording this at a time where we're just coming out of lockdown within the UK. So the last 12, 13, 14 months have been pretty stressful for not just us as parents of kind of juggling all the things, but the kids, they've been through a really tough time, and something that they shouldn't really have ever had to have gone through, with spending so much time at home and home learning and all of that kind of thing, without seeing friends, without being able to go outside and process those way that they would normally burn off steam. So I think what you've done and what you've created is just incredible, and it makes total sense that we have to have outlets for our energy, children as well as adults, right? And all of those boundaries have been tested. But I think if we can help our children learn these things from a younger age, then as they get older and those stresses of life become more apparent, then actually that's really, really helpful. Tell us a little bit more about the other chakras. So if people are kind of thinking, oh, this sounds really interesting, we talked about a little bit about the root chakra. What are the other sort of emotions and colours and things that get linked together?
So we've got 7 main chakras. They start at the base of the spine with the root chakra, and they go up to the top of the head, the crown of the head, with the crown chakra. So the second chakra is the sacral chakra, and this is all to do with our expressive self. It starts to form at the age of 6 months to about 2, and it's that time when we as children are starting to realise that there is life outside mum. We're starting to explore and maybe go to nursery and things, and it's very much about expressing ourselves and being creative. And if it's blocked, it may well come out as separation and attachment issues. Obviously, some of this is normal developmental stages, but if it goes on and you get concerned about it, it may well be that that's occurred, and it can be blocked because of some trauma that occurred if you were left at some point in that time. So being creative is a great way to help that one. The next one is our solar plexus chakra, and that one is just above our belly button, and this is sort of forming up to about the age of 4 and is very much to do with our ego self. It's when we are learning about willpower and being strong-minded. And again, if this one gets blocked, it can come out as aggression, or indeed it can be that we just go inside ourselves. And this one's all to do with yellow. And because it's linked to fire, just getting out in nature in the sunshine is a really great way to help with this one. The next one is our heart chakra. And this is all to do with loving ourselves, loving other people, relationships, all of that sort of thing. And if that one gets blocked, we can, in a physical sense, sometimes we can get asthma because it's linked to our heart chakra, and sometimes issues with writing. It's all linked to our arms and things like that, and that is to do with green. The next one is communication, our throat chakra, and also expression as well. So expression verbally, expression creatively. And if that one's blocked, that can be, we can be shy, or we can be really talkative. Sometimes the energy is, there's too much energy flowing, sometimes there's too little energy. That one's blue. Then we've got the third eye chakra, which is just between your eyebrows. That's to do with intuition, understanding your place in the world. This starts to form up from between 8 and 12. So you're really starting to get that independence and feeling of belonging. And if your sort of sense of place in the world is upset, that can cause that to get affected. And then the last one is your crown chakra, which is all about being. It's the most spiritual of the chakras, and again about your place in the world, but also just being still and not being what's the word I'm thinking of, not being pressured to do exactly what everybody else in the world wants you to do. It's about being yourself. So yeah, lots of different things.
It's amazing. And I think just on that last point, we see so many people, or I see so many people that always do what they feel like they should be doing, not necessarily what they want to be doing. And quite often that does come from something through childhood where, you know, we're sort of pigeonholed to a certain degree, aren't we? And it's finding out who you are, who you want to be, exploring all of the things that you're interested in to be able to then go off and hopefully develop that.
Yeah, and actually I am a case in point with this. I actually had a chronic illness. I still have a chronic illness, but it was very much linked to the pituitary, which is the endocrine gland, which is linked to your crown chakra, forming around the age of 12 and upwards into adolescence. And it was at 12 that my issues first really started coming to the fore. And I think I was very much, we moved when I was 9, we moved again when I was 16, and all of these things sort of took away that freedom of me. And the more I look into it, the more I'm sure that this sort of energy thing is all linked to that. And in fact, I've written books on each of the chakras with some chakra monsters. And as I was writing the 7th book about the crown chakra, it is basically me who I'm talking about.
It's amazing. We'll make sure the links go into the show notes for the books, and where you can find a little bit more about you and the books as well, because as I said, I find this fascinating, and I think it's something that we're only really just starting to understand. And I think a lot of people know that their childhood plays a huge impact on their adulthood, and as parents we feel that pressure, and there's lots of stuff. It is one of the hardest jobs in the world, but when you're trying to manage your own business, when you're trying to do all the other things, having that sort of healthy balance of being mum, being parent, looking after your children, as well as wanting to succeed in business, it's finding that balance, isn't it? And just, I suppose, in some ways recognizing, one of the things that I've kind of gone through with this is really understanding where my emotions are, so that I can now see that impact on my children. And I think, we've talked a little bit about the effect of lockdown and the impact of that on children, but it's played a massive part on us as adults, hasn't it? And recognizing that actually our emotions, our frustrations can easily spill over into our children, and how they react, not just to us, but how they react in themselves.
Yeah, and what I do can very much be done by adults as well, and I advocate getting it into a sort of habit routine. So there's things like gratitude and cooking with different foods and dancing like nobody's watching, and all of that sort of stuff. And actually in the group as well, I'm going at the moment through the demons of each chakra, which are the main negative emotion. And it's really, really interesting. So for example, at the moment, the solar plexus chakra demon is shame. And again, I'm looking back at my life, and as an adult, you can start to then see where things might have happened. And it just gives you that opening to journal about it, or just to think what might have happened that has caused you to feel a certain way now, and things like that.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And I think, doing it from a non-judgmental perspective, doing it from almost like a reflection perspective is a great way to do it, rather than kind of trying to assess yourself, assess how you're parenting. That's not really what we're talking about, is it? It's more just giving you that toolbox and kind of recognizing some of the things that have happened, are happening, and then how you can help support your children, help support yourself as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And life is life, and we aren't in control all the time of life, and actually we shouldn't be in control of it. And as you said, parenting is difficult, and often we follow how our parents parented, and it's just really, as you said, there's no blame in it. It's raising awareness of these things that may have occurred in you, and giving you the chance to think how you could change, or how you could give your children control over those situations to stand them in better stead later on in life. We're already in a health crisis, and actually there's statistics to suggest now that 1 in 6 children are struggling with a mental health issue, and it was 1 in 9 in 2017. And percent of children's adult mental health issues start before the age of 14, which is horrendous. And the other statistic, which is just awful, is that it can take sort of an average of 10 years from the point when a child is first thought to have an issue to actually being seen. And it's just, I just feel that we need to do something now. The government are saying they will, and I'm sure they will, but it takes time for all these things to happen. And we need to encourage our children now, because they really are amazing. They all have their special place in this world, and we need to help them see that.
Absolutely. It's equipping them with the right things, isn't it? That toolbox that we spoke about right at the beginning. Because as much as we'd love to be there for them every second of the day, maybe we would, and that might be quite intense. We had that in lockdown, didn't we? But when they are at school and they're finding their places again, they need to understand how to do that, and having those methods, those little things that they can think about, whether it's through colour, whether it's through an activity, whether it is finding a little space that they can go and stamp their feet if something's bothered them or something's frustrated them. That's okay. Like they should be encouraged to do that, because they're taking control of their emotions when we can't be there. So it's teaching.
Yeah, and one of the quotes that I put in my group, which I came up with, was express, don't suppress. And it's just giving them that route and ideas to express their emotions.
Amazing. And I think, kind of looping this back to us as business owners, if we can have that balance on family lifestyle, actually, if that's in a really positive space, it enables us to do the things that we want to do. We don't feel drained. We don't feel in a negative headspace, that our mindset shifts, because we know that we've got that positivity across things. And we all know that whatever happens in our personal life affects what goes on in our business life, and vice versa. When you run your own business, it's all so entwined. So having that balance for me across not just your business goals, but actually your lifestyle goals, your family life, that's a huge part of it as well. So if we can encourage that, and obviously if you have got children, that is a big part of your family life. So if we can have that family life that is supportive, that is enjoyable, that they know how to manage things, that they become independent, then actually that plays across into the success of your business as well.
Yep, definitely.
So have you got any kind of last kind of final words of wisdom, that if people are sort of struggling with children's emotions, or they're not sure how to deal with things, what would you suggest?
The biggest thing is, I think, to encourage the children to get out in nature. Nature is probably the biggest thing associated with all of the chakras. All of the chakras are linked to a natural element. And so just being outside can help to rebalance, or start to rebalance, the chakras. And running around, having fun, being a child yourself will show the children that you are, you're not serious all the time. You can have fun. And just in that whole atmosphere where there's fresh air, you've got the nature, the trees, the grass, everything like that, it will just do everybody the world of good. And it will help to balance the chakras as well. So it's a win-win.
Amazing. Yeah, there's nothing like being a big kid, is there?
No.
I think it's important. It is important to have fun, to smile. That's why we do what we do. And it's something that I think when we are busy, we can quite often forget, because we're focusing on that to-do list, but actually taking time out can actually be more productive in the long term. So yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for joining me and sharing your words of wisdom. Where can people find you if they want to find out a little bit more?
So I have a website, which is www.chakra-kids.co.uk. I have a private Facebook group, which is /groups/Chakra Kids. And then, as I said, I've got the books. They're on, as we speak, I've only got one published, but the second one's coming out. They'll be coming out at regular intervals. So I can put the link for that. And yeah, I can drop my email and any other details below, and then people can just come and chat. My door is open. I know how it is. I'm a parent as well. I've got a child who's dyslexic. So all of that with schools not necessarily supporting children as well. it all plays a part, and I've been there and I've done it. So I'm happy to do that.
Amazing. And I just want to finish on not just thanking you, but also reminding us that every child is different. We need to understand how we can help them, support them. And as you said, having their place in the world is the most important, because that then enables us to be parents in the ways that we want to, and then run our businesses in the way that we want to. So Rachel, thank you so much for joining me. Thanks for listening to the Healthy Business Podcast. You can get a copy of my best-selling book, Healthy You, Wealthy Business, over on my website, sarahcookcoaching.com/book. In there, you'll find practical advice, useful tools, and real actionable steps to help you be your best self and build a wildly successful business with ease, so that you can create a limitless life in the way that you choose.